Okay, wow. All right. Now, whereas RTD's era was very much defined by escapism, adventure, with very broad character drama, and kind of whimsy, and where you had Moffat's era that was defined by labyrinthine plots and wit. I think we finally figured out what Chibnall is going to be gunning for with his run in the show, and I hope with episodes like this he continues this trend, because I think this is what's going to define him as a showrunner. I think he is taking a lot of the strengths that he accumulated when he made Broadchurch and focus on that. Because the one thing I did say I liked about Broadchurch was the characters, the emotion, and just the rawness of it. And Rosa, I think, encapsulates that. I never thought it was possible to incorporate that into Doctor Who without feeling like, well, let's face it, feeling like Torchwood. But I think that's where this episode definitely nailed it. Now, let's get some bads out of the way. And here's the funny part. The episode, for me, was virtually perfect. And I'll get into that reason why I say that later. But the reason why I say that there's cons to this have nothing to do with the episode. It has to do with all the idiots claiming that there is something wrong with the episode. And of course, you've probably been on the IMDb review boards. You've probably been on the comments on a bunch of publications, and a lot of them are screaming, "Oh, the SJWs are coming. Oh, the PC crowd's affecting Doctor Who." Okay, apparently you clowns have never watched Doctor Who, because I hate to point this out, but the Doctor has been in SJW pretty much the first time he faced off the Daleks, people. Or let's break down that word. Social, justice, warrior. Let's break it even further. A warrior is someone who fights for a cause. In this case, the cause, social justice. And last I checked, the Doctor's been fighting for that pretty much ever since he took up arms and decided, it was important to fight. So, and this has been the mantra of the show. It's been, and if you watch some of my previous videos on Doctor Who, it's part of the 5 traits about Doctor Who. I think 5. I never really counted, but it's one of the defining traits of Doctor Who. So just to voice your own idiotic indignance, saying that the show is becoming too preachy and too political, you need to take yourself a serious history lesson, because that is something that has permeated throughout the entire history of the show. Throughout the entire history of the show. Shame on you for even thinking that Doctor Who was never anything like that. That you're probably the people who think that it's just silly monsters and running down corridors. There is so much more of the show. There's a reason the show survived for 26 years before it got revived. It's because of stories like Rosa, where it took very harsh topical ideas and found a way to make them accessible to a broad audience. And we have seen some amazing episodes of Doctor Who, particularly in the new series run, where they meet historical figures and they tackle hard subjects. For as silly as Victory of the Daleks got, the one thing I got to acknowledge about it is that it did a great job showing how the suffocating frustrations that were coming from World War II, and how quickly people like Churchill were hell-bent to try and get any edge in the war to end it because of how horrible it was. And then you have episodes like Vincent and the Doctor, which pretty much bold-faced, showed the hardships of depression and how difficult it was for people back in the days when there was no diagnosis for depression, and how crippling it became. So for anyone who says that it's out of character for this show to tackle hardcore racism, and I'm talking segregation, we're talking about people pretty much flat out attacking you in the streets, to say that this is not what Doctor Who is, you don't know Doctor Who. And I'm going to say this, and it's very appropriate, get off the bus. I may get some hate on that, but you know what? I'm sorry. Get out. Wow, I can't believe I just made an inadvertent reference to Get Out. In any case, now getting into the episode itself, first off, it is probably the strongest run so far of the season. And I think the reason why is that all the characters on the show, the Doctor had some amazing hero moments, really stood out. And I'm standing by my comparisons that I did in my last review for the Ghost Monument. I'm really feeling Jodie now as a much more serious toned adventurer with a nice, delicate sense of whimsy, in a way all my feelings toward the Davison era where I said it was very serious. I feel like we're getting that, but I feel like it's pushing it a little bit further where even though the show can be serious, at least there's still room where the show can still have some fun. And the fact, I was actually very staggered by the fact this episode, for as serious as it is, was still able to have the room for the fun, for a little bit of the humor. And this time around, I will say previously we weren't really getting that many great character moments, particularly with Yaz. We got some amazing stuff with her in this episode, some stuff that just really stood out for me. And actually now I'm really seeing what she contributes to the group. And actually, on the whole, I'm loving this whole TARDIS team. I'm loving them. I mean, and I love their range of emotion. Every episode I'm just loving Graham more and more. I'm loving he's proactive. I'm really digging just how... and it's funny, for a man his age, you'd think he'd have such a hard time with everything around him, but the fact that he is so in there, the fact he's willing to jump in, and the fact that he is willing to get the back of both Yaz and Ryan and really back up the Doctor, because he knows the Doctor is the idea person. He knows that she's the one who's always the one to report to. But I loved all of his moments in the episode. Yaz, I loved her scene with Rosa Parks while she's fixing the Doctor's coat. And Ryan, Tosin Cole, the stuff he had to do in this episode, man, he had to go through some serious range of emotions. And the thing I loved is that, yeah, he had every right to have that episode be just entirely about his anger and his frustrations about being in this time. And unfortunately for him, for his first jaunt into the past, it is a very ugly place to have taken him to. And yeah, and the best part is, now, a lot of things will say, like, oh, stop complaining. I'm like, no, he is in a very horrible time. And to his credit, he's taking this in his stride to the best way possible. But the best part is, this episode it is not going to just keep battering him with the ugliness of the time. There's actually great moments, and I'm not going to spoil it. There is a great moment where he's actually seeing the best parts about time travel. I'm not going to say it, but there's an amazing moment with Rosa and another person, and I won't say it, but it's incredible, it's funny, it's heartfelt, it's beautiful. And another thing I got to say, I don't know where they filmed this. I was looking in the credits at South Africa. I guess there's areas in South Africa that look like they could be out of the 50s. I don't know, never been. But the look of that, the look of what they did to replicate the 1950s and that particular neck of the woods, it felt legitimate. It felt great. Now, another criticism I know the episode's been getting is the villain, Cresco. Now, I think the major criticism everyone's getting is that they didn't get the ebb and flow of his motivations. To that, I say keep watching the episode and really listen, because here's the thing, you don't have to have everything spoon-fed for you. Once again, this is why I love Moffat's era, because he did not spoon-feed it for you. And that's why I wasn't so hot on Russell T Davies in retrospect, because he's spoon-fed. And the thing I gotta say I admired about this episode was that it provoked you to actually have to listen to this guy and understand why he's doing this. And in his final showdown scene with Ryan and with all the scenes with the Doctor, you immediately get, no, this guy is pretty much representative of the notion that, unfortunately, for as progressive as the future will become, and we've seen it in the previous episodes of the show in the seasons past, there's still always going to be prejudice, and there's always going to be bigots who are always going to pine for those times past where they were in charge. This character represents hardcore white privilege and how hell-bent they are to hold on to it, even to the point where they are desperate to do pretty horrifying things in order to achieve that aim. So, and I picked up on it immediately, and I'm shocked that a lot of people didn't pick up on that too. But I suspect that with repeat viewings, I think you might pick up on that a little bit better. So I dug the villain, and I just thought he was despicable in all the right ways. The way you should feel a villain is despicable. And there were so many great moments with the Doctor in the way she faces off with him. And Jodie really is working it. She is working it in her debut season. She is... I was already, as I've already said, I'm broken record, but I was already sold on her. But this episode, I think, is one of the ones that's going to define what she is as the Doctor. And so the episode really works for me. I can't even think of anything more additional to say about it without fear of spoiling anything. But the story is simple, but just because the story is simple doesn't mean that there's such strong nuances to the episode which really bring out the emotions of it. And I was just floored. by every moment, and I got the feels. I mean, I suppose maybe inserting the pop song at the very end, which I'm noticing seems to be a leitmotif of Chibnall. Some may find it a bit jarring, but there was something that felt right about it. Again, I suppose maybe if he just keeps up the good song choices, I guess I'll feel fine about it. But by and large, Rosa is the first genuine triumph of Chibnall's run on the show, and for that I say keep it up. I mean, I don't know if the next episode's going to follow up on that because it involves spiders again. This is the third go around with spiders in the new series, and it's the fifth go around in the TV series. I mean, Planet of the Spiders and Full Circle both involve spiders, so it's like I know they're creepy and all that, but can we like riff on some other bugs? They stabilize our ecosystem. So let's go easy on them, please. So leave it in the comments below. Have a look. Tell me what you thought of Rosa. I really would love to hear it. And for more addictive content on Narcotic Casserole, keep it here. The episode of the Cinema Schlock Society for Halloween is in the can. It's ready to go. Watch it. I hope you enjoy it, and I think you'll get a good kick out of it. I did. I had a great time making it. And also keep it on for November because we'll have Double November coming out for the Villains Edition, and then we'll have our Christmas reviews from there. So, and of course, next Friday will be our final edition of Rare Delicacies with The Stuff. Yes, that's our final edition of Rare Delicacies for Halloween season. It's going to be The Stuff, and I can't get enough of the stuff. And watch the episode so you know that you can't get enough of the stuff. So, see ya. It's deadlocked.